Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Paz, a rising VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be making fan art of this character for an art fight attack. So this character is called Bomb. It's made by a user called saisaixchan. I don't know. Her username has an X in the middle there. Evening. Hey, how you doing, Cypress? So yeah, I actually wanted to do something with this one. So there's been this very famous GIF of this very muscular girl from an anime that I have never heard of before. Apparently, the anime was called Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress. It's a very famous. At least it's the GIF is famous to me. It's this GIF of a girl in like a mechanic's top, in like a mechanic's costume, pulling back a lever or something. Yeah. Okay, so it is famous. I'm good to know. It's good to know that. Okay, so fame. I don't know. How would it be fair to call it famous? I feel like it's almost like a relative thing, right? I like it's famous to me if nothing else, and that's what counts. But yeah, for this, I think what I'm gonna want to do is probably play around a little bit with like the proportions of it. So maybe snatch the waist a little bit. I know a lot of lesbians that know about it, including myself. Okay, yeah, okay, that's maybe too snatched. Uh, I don't want this guy looking like he doesn't have internal organs. The problem with having a snatched waist is that it's then very difficult to justify having like super wide hips. I don't know, it's tough. Hang on. I think, hang on, I know that, alright, save image. I think, oh, hey Dave, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I'm setting up the mannequin for this drawing right now. I'm pretty sure that they had a thing. Use 3D pose material, recent model scale. Like there's a thing. Good, just chilling. Nice. But yeah, I know that Clip Studio Paint has a thing where you can pose scanner. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's see if this works. Could not detect a human in this photo. Please try again with a different photo. All right, so we're doing this by hand. That's fair enough. This shouldn't be too hard to do, actually. Hang on. Maybe if I have it like this. Yeah, doing it manually. Fuck it, we're doing it live. Alright. Yeah, I don't think this should be too hard to do, so twist the body just a tiny bit. Pull this part back. Send this one a little bit up and a little bit like this. The shoulder's almost pointing down. Yeah, there we go. Put that other arm down, sir. Or wait, no, actually pull that thing back. Beyblade, let it rip. You know, do you guys remember that very famous pose? That Olympic runner, Usain Bolt, he was famous because he always did that one pose where he was like, hang on. Yeah, the Usain Bolt pose, this one. He's very famous for this pose, and I remember one time during high school, I think, my they put our class to this like biking expedition. So this was like a 3 hour long bike ride that they made us do. For what purpose, it is unclear to me. But they made us ride a bicycle for 3 hours one time. And one of the things that at the end of the tour, meme worthy pose, 100%. Like this has some swagger to it. Funny you bring up the dab. So after we finished doing this 3 hour long bike ride, the tour guide asked us to like huddle up together for a group photo. And he was like, all right, everybody do a silly pose. And I was at a fucking loss because I hadn't read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure yet. So I ended up doing the Usain Bolt pose in the photo. And this tour guide was like, oh, yeah, no. It's very unusual. Usually they're like leaning into their elbow when they do that. This guy thought that this guy did not recognize the Usain Bolt pose, but he did think I was doing the dab. The Usain Bolt pose is 100% JoJo worthy. Hirohiko Araki kicking himself and biting into a handkerchief, angry that he didn't think of it first. I mean, we're not too far out, I think, from having folks who do the JoJo pose in their athletic endeavors. I've seen some genuine geekery coming out of the recent Olympic stuff. Like I like there's this one sprinter who brought out the Blue Eyes White Dragon card, and one of the weightlifters also did the Rock Lee dropping the weights thing. And I think a while back somebody else also did the Luffy Gear 2 pose. So we're kind of coming out on top here. Okay. There was an MMA fighter who did the Rock Lee pose before a fight. That's cool. Honestly, I am surprised that it took. I don't know. Maybe I don't pay enough attention to MMA stuff. I feel like I haven't seen a whole lot of MMA fighters do nerd stuff, which is surprising to me because I feel like a lot of them would be inspired by stuff like, Dragon Ball, One Piece, and such. I don't know. Maybe that's just my own prejudice. It's not. It does. It's not necessarily everybody that does martial arts is essentially inspired by anime. Although I do know that that's very common. I remember I asked my back when I was doing karate. I asked my karate professor or the sensei, hey, why did you start doing karate? And she was like, I saw this action movie in the 80s that was fucking awesome, and then I became a black belt. And for like all the other people there as well, they were like, yeah, no, I saw Goku doing some shit, and I was like, I want to do that too. Or they were just like anime enthusiasts as well. I know one of the guys that was there. I actually run into him fairly often, even though I've left the club a long time ago, because he does administrative stuff for a local convention. And then like every year I run into him and I'm like, hey man, how you doing? And he's like, oh hey dude. And then we don't really say anything else because we weren't that close to begin with. But it's not it's one of those familiar strangers things, It's like we know each other. We don't need to know each other on like an intimate level, but it's nice to see the other person there. There we go. I kind of want to make this camera angle because right now it's a little bit too much like the reference. That's something that I try to avoid is to make it too much like the reference, because then I go back and I'm like, oh my god, did I just accidentally redraw the reference? It's a foolish thing to be worried about, right? Like you took the time to draw this thing. They're gonna like it one way or another. But I get a little bit worried. Actually, you know what we could do? It might not be impossible to bring this up. Hang on. So here's my idea. We angle the camera such that this hand that's like grabbing something is like way into the foreground. Hang on. I might need to readjust the kind of perspective on this. So maybe if hang on. Flip by 90 degrees clockwise. Oh, okay, that's gonna. Okay, never mind. Let me try that. Let me try that another way. There we go. Okay, so then what we might also do is we might go to the lens or the camera settings and then mess around with the perspective. I feel like I need to make this look more like a fist. Come on, I know there has to be a fist in here somewhere. There it is. Alright, so here's the idea. Or actually, hang on. We might want to pull this arm a little bit further up. There we go. Let me bring these two down as well. Just so we can have a closer, keep a better eye on them. I want to make sure that I have enough real estate left in the picture for the hair. Because that is some luscious hair. I don't know. It feels like I very rarely, maybe because my own Sona doesn't have a whole lot of hair. I always feel thrilled whenever I get to do like very fluffy or very nice looking hair, like very luscious hair. Hang on, can I set this to be like, hang on, height? What's that like? Okay. Okay. Or maybe just a little bit further out. Okay, and what should he be fixing to begin with? Maybe, hang on. There was this really weird looking toaster, hang on, like 1920s toaster. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen this? This is a toaster from the 1920s. And this article looks like it has some good ones. All right, where's the web browser source? Here we go. All right, toasters of the 1920s. Okay. Yeah, that's how you toast. This is how. Okay, original electric toasters consisted of a heating element and a stationary wire frame to hold the toast in place. Most were mounted on a porcelain base and posed a burn hazard to those charged with making breakfast. Toast manufacturers in the 1920s added a protective case and a variety of clever mechanisms to automatically turn the bread for easy toasting on both sides. Alright, so we got the turnover. Looks like a cheese grater. The turnover featured a spring-loaded door on either side that hinged down. Okay, so this would pop out like this. Each door held a slice of bread. When one side of bread was toasted, the operator opened each door to let the partially toasted bread drop down, giving the non-toasted side access to the heating element when the door was shut again. Oh, so it was almost like, it was like an automated flip kind of situation. This toaster design was typically placed right on the breakfast table due to its manual operation. The diligent person in charge of toast was responsible for making sure the toast was turned before it burned. Nice. Okay, what's this one? The flopper. Well, you can just imagine the mad frenzy of companies trying to win the hearts of America's homemakers with their new electric toasting machines. Each one attempted to create a slightly new design that did something others could not, without infringing on patents. Okay, the flopper. The flopper featured metal doors with lovely cut-out design that also hinged on the bottom. Okay, the flopper. Okay, the doors form an A when closed. Right? Okay, I see that. And this design when the toast was done, the operator opened the side doors and the toast flopped out. Ah, okay, I see the mechanism to it. Oh wait, no, this is a different one. The swinger. Spiced up the toasting world and gave the turnover and flopper toasters a run for their money. So, it featured a swinging basket with two-sided metal wire enclosure that held the bread slices. Okay. Okay, this is the Sweetheart. This is the one that I pulled up earlier. The Sweetheart worked by pressing two buttons located on the base of the toaster. Okay, yeah, I see those. The buttons controlled each side of the toaster. The pressing the buttons would swing the baskets on each side of the toaster out at a 90-degree angle, so that the user could either place in the bread or remove the toast. Releasing the button allowed the basket to swing back into place against the unit. Each additional push of the buttons rotated the bread slices in the opposite direction to toast both sides. Alright, that's pretty cool. Feel like that could very easily turn into like a heated element bear trap kind of situation for your hand. Personally, I don't know. Maybe that's a skill issue. What's this one? The pop-up. Hey, wait, I know this one. The manufacturer. Okay. The manufacturer used a clock mechanism as timer for the toast. The key difference in this toaster was the fact that the user did not have to manually turn the toast. It was marketed to make perfect toast every time. Right, okay, this is like what we have now. Prior to 1926, pop-up or automatic toasters were originally marketed and sold to restaurants. They were a luxury for most families, so most manufacturers continued selling manual toasters for homes into the 1950s. The Toastmaster company designed this toaster with heating elements situated on both sides of each slice. Another feature allowed the user to change the level of darkness by sliding a lever on the side of the toaster which adjusted the timer. Wow. How do you toast your bread? Toaster, toaster oven, traditional oven. I don't need toast. I use my toaster. The toaster. Listen, these days the toaster has been kind of carrying. If I'm being fully honest, it'd be like that sometimes. All right, I'm kind of a fan of the flopper. The Sweetheart is nice, but it also looks too much like a thing you use to cook bread. However, this thing is just a quadrilateral object. This thing has very little identity. It's perfect for a randomized gadget. Okay, so here's how I think this is going to work. I'm going to put this a little bit to the left. It's kind of crazy work that I'm going to have like a chain mechanism for this toaster. Like this changes the game a little bit about like what this is going to be like. The good news is that the gloves aren't too complicated. They look like normal gardening gloves. Also, something that I love about this person's art style is that she seems to use like a single width for most stuff. That's awesome. I don't know. I respect that a lot. I'm very attached to being able to vary my width, but being able to do like single width and make it look this fluid, I don't know. That must be like something that she's practiced for a long, long time. I don't know. Maybe I just need to practice more. Maybe I've been slacking in my training. Okay. We still got to toast. Oh, thank you. All right, there we go. Thank you for reminding me. I need to like start setting a timer for the web browser source. Do I have it? Is that possible? Can I do that? Force SDR, defaults, cancel, filters, properties. No, that just brings me back up to that screen. Filters, effect filters, audio filters. Okay, I don't think that's gonna have an easy access timer feature, but that's fine. All right, so here's how this is going to go. Let's just make a rough outline first of what do we want. I have an idea for how to game this a little bit. Just gonna copy and paste this part here. Then I'm going to use my transform tool to just make this flat. I'm running out of real estate for basically everything in this picture. Okay. Yep. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna make it go like this. Okay, and we know from this picture that there's supposed to be like 4. I'm gonna call them 3. I'm gonna call them teeth. I mean, this actually does look a little bit like a helmet if you squint your eyes a little bit. You know, you have like this is the eye holes. You have this as like a mouth, and you can almost like make out teeth here. This is just such this robot is angry to be alive. This is what RoboKai is going to look like in season 4 once he finally gets in. Trust. I do. I'm kind of morbidly curious about what will happen if they do end up bringing back RoboKai for Strive. I don't know what that's going to be like. I wasn't around for the few games that he has been in, but from what I understand, he's kind of a menace. Or no, more like his gimmick is very unique, so he really stands out quite a bit. Whenever I tell people I'm a Foss player, they basically go like, "Oh, okay, I know exactly what kind of person you are." So I don't know. Maybe we've got that going. We'll have that going on for him too. That's not what I wanted to do. God, best trick that I ever learned for visual arts is that you can make something look like it's really close to the quote unquote camera just by giving it a little bit of a Gaussian blur. That has seriously saved me in so many times. Like it's just a very easy way to create depth in a drawing. The power of the blur, that's right. Also, why is his finger not spinning around? Okay, that's very. Hang on. Why is his finger not? It's not moving at all. Well, no, I guess that makes sense actually. If you try to move your middle finger to the left and to the right, it doesn't actually move all that much, does it? Not the way the index finger can. It's a very inflexible finger. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot this top part of the toaster, huh? Well, we can add that right now. Okay. Then we're gonna move this up a little bit. Up a little bit. Please? You cooperate with Pabs? You cooperate with Pablo? Yeah, very much looking forward to Evo as a thing this weekend. That's gonna be probably like the highlight of the weekend. It's just gonna see everybody. It's gonna be seeing everybody lose their minds over Evo. What the? I didn't see. I didn't do that. The finger just did that on its own. This is kind of a sick ass pose, though. Hang on, let me save this. Let me take a screenshot of this real quick. Coming to life, yeah. There's something very comical about this function, about this movement. Like with the illusion of its animation. It looks like it looks like he's, I don't know, it looks like he's spinning a wheel very, very quickly. Have you guys ever seen that video of like of Evangelion where like this lady is using a steering wheel in her mech to back up into a bunch of angels? Very similar vibe. I might also put this thumb a little bit higher up. There we go. Yeah, I think we can let loose at the toaster for the time being. As for this part, let's start working on the actual sketch of the guy. Okay, there we go. I feel like thanks to drawing Hawk Starling, the comic, I've gotten a sort of affinity for thick gloves. Like I feel like they are my friends now. Not to say that we were on bad terms previously, but I feel more comfortable with it. I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know. That's the cool thing about experiences, right? Even if you're, you know, and I've found this is true for my workplace as well. Even for things that you had a hard time going through, you don't necessarily, you know, you still don't walk away from that empty-handed. You become much better at adapting to that kind of situation in the future. Of course, that's not to say that you should have to adapt to every single situation. You know, it's still not good to have to. You know, it's not great that you have to lock in every single time you go into a new project. But I don't know. It's nice feeling like you are actually gaining experience. I guess is the way to put it. Does anybody else see this weird line here? What is that? Where did that come from? Oh, is that from the toaster? No way. No, okay, it is. I wonder where that came from. It must have been when I was using the lasso tool. I must have accidentally neglected part of it while I was warping it and transforming it around. Okay, then over here. I'm gonna slim down the forearms here, just for the sake of effect. But yeah, this dude has some really nice arms. I don't know. There's like a difference between like super muscular arms and like nice arms, you know? Like normal superhero comics have dudes with super muscular arms, but they don't look nice. I don't know. There's no love in those muscles. Sad as that is to say. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like at some point, the fact that a superhero was muscular stopped being like a thing of like, oh yeah, no, it's because like that's the easiest way to communicate. They have a lot of strength, but at some point, it just became kind of like a uniform, right? At this point, everybody looks like they could deadlift a car, and well, actually, no, things have been getting a little bit better these years. I feel like nowadays I do see, there's still definitely a lot of people who still look like very buff, like that Rob Liefeld Captain America cover. But there's also ones where they've been toned down a little bit, or it looks a little less Ultimate Warrior ish and more natural looking. I think the amount of muscle should reflect the hero's capabilities. Yeah, like Thor and Hulk make sense since they're muscle heads. That's true. Yeah, they're definitely like the heavyweights of their respective groups. Yeah, it fits some of them, but like not all of them need to be that way, right? I think that's the main takeaway is that it's a good fit for some of them, but not all of them. Spider-Man is strong, but it moves like an athletic build since he's more agile and acrobatic. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like to some extent we need to start adapting the kind of anime thing where a character is definitely toned, but they're not like super muscular in a lot of cases. Like I don't know, like Luffy, right? Luffy's got abs. Luffy has abs, but he's not. Even though he's one of the strongest people in his crew, he's not built like a tank. He's built like a man made of rubber. Let's be frank, he's kind of built stupid. But that fits him. That fits him. Luffy's a literal god, so he can look however he wants. That's also true. Yeah. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot recently about what Oda said regarding his interpretation, or like the reason why he gave Luffy rubber power specifically, which was that he always wanted to have a way to introduce a little bit of levity into the situation. Because he's a literal god. Yeah, he's running around reality warping and shaping clouds to his whims. But his whole thing is that he can also make people laugh even in the worst situations. Like I remember from the climax of like the Alabasta arc, he tried to fucking take on Crocodile with like a belly full of water, and it's like, I'm water Luffy now. And even fucking Robin lost her shit. Like that's how ridiculous this guy's supposed to be, and that's a good thing. That fits him as a character. God, one day I'll actually start reading through One Piece. I don't know if I want to wait until it's gonna get finished. Like I feel like we're still at least a year and a half out from it being close to finished, but I don't know. It's a lot of chapters. It's a lot of chapters to get through. It's worth it. Oh, that I have no doubt of. Listen, there's a reason everybody says One Piece is peak. I still fondly remember reading volume after volume of One Piece in high school or middle school. I don't know. I think I fell off during. I fell off on my read through of One Piece during. I want to say middle school. I think at that point I was like both reading chapters of the manga and watching bits of the anime. I think I fell off of the anime after like we got to Skypiea. After that, I just had no idea what the fuck was going on. Skypiea is where most people tend to lose interest. Damn, kind of a filter arc, huh? That actually reminds me, I still have a ton of volumes of Vinland Saga kind of gathering dust in my backlog. And people tell me that one's also pretty decent. So much to read. I need to. Vinland. Oh, you like Vinland Saga? Does it also have your vote of confidence? Peak fiction. Very good. You know, everybody who reads Vinland Saga is like, this shit is life changing, bro. Honestly, so good. I think you'll like it. I'll have to check it out sometime. I don't know. I've actually been debating, right? You know, most, shall we say, budget options of accessing manga tend to have either very old scans or spotty translations. So I've been wondering if I should maybe try to tap into into like the Shonen Jump app. I think V uses that to read in chapters of Ippo, which is another thing I have to eventually get around to reading. There's so much good fiction out there, and I've just been kind of stagnating because I haven't taken a good 2 or 3 Saturdays off to just devour 80 chapters of manga in one sitting like I used to do. This is and don't get me wrong, this is a good problem to have. It'd be one thing if the market was dry and bereft of things, but I'm actually like missing it. Well, I mean, even if the market was like that, I'm sure there would still be something that I would enjoy, right? Even at its worst, there's something for everybody. And if there really isn't anything for you, then you can just try and make something of your own. Same here. I used to consume manga after manga back in high school. Do I have another reference of this guy kicking around? I need to see how long the hair is on the left hand side. Oh, interesting. It's almost like a Goku kind of thing where the side that he's facing is always the side that has the most of the undercut. That makes my life a little bit easier, actually. Should I make him wear the goggles? Or maybe. Oh, actually, what might help is to have the goggles around his neck. Retroactive haircuts, handshake, Mickey Mouse's ears. Wait, is that true? Oh, wait, no, I understand what you mean, though. Yeah, no, that rat does have some very tricky ears. You never know which way they're actually facing. Another one of his tricks is deceptions. Michael's trick, yes. Hang on, was Michael Eisner? I'm trying to like remember my defunct land lore, but it's kind of coming up short. Was Michael Eisner the guy who ran Disney for a while, or was he the one who started those comic awards? Because if so, it's kind of a hilarious coincidence that that guy was chosen to run the company. It's kind of like how Nintendo of America is now run by this guy called Doug Bowser. Or at least I think that was what his name was. Okay, yeah, no. Michael Damon Eisner is an American businessman. I think both? Possibly. Wait, was he actually both? Hang on. Okay, so Michael Damon. How do you. Damon? Whatever. Michael Damon Eisner was an American businessman and former chairman and CEO of Walt Disney Company until 2005. Okay, who succeeded him? Uh, Post Disney, so a little bit before this. Team Disney. Who? Oh, here we go. Day to day duties to Bob Iger. Okay, 1951. Succeeded Michael Eisner until his contract expired in 2020. He was executive chairman until his formal retirement on December 31st, 2021. Okay, who was. Okay, at the request of Disney's board of directors, Iger returned to Disney as CEO on 2022. Iger's 2023 pay package included a base salary of $865,000, stock awards of $16 million, $10 million in stock option awards, $2.1 million performance-based compensation, and $2.48 million in other compensation, leading to total pay award of $31.6 million. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, we should throw rocks at this guy, I think. Okay, but yeah, Eisner Award. Okay, no. So the guy who the Disney guy is Michael Eisner, and the guy for the Eisner Awards is Will Eisner. Ah, okay. As of 2021, awards are presented in 32 categories. Best Short Story, Best Single Issue, Best Continuing Series, Limited Series, New Series, Publication for Early Readers, Publication for Kids, Publications for Teens, Best Humor Publication, Best Anthology, Best Reality-Based Work, Best Graphic Memoir. I wonder what the difference is between a reality-based work and a graphical memoir. Well, I guess a memoir is directly based on somebody's life, while a reality-based work can just be fictional to the extent that the person isn't real, but their lived experiences mirror a lot of what's actually happened in real life. Okay. Anyway, back to work. Shane the Eisner Awards only recognize physically published works. Oh, is that true? That's tough. Although it makes sense to some extent, right? Because if you include every single webcomic published in the current year, then your pool of. You already have a huge pool of candidates. I could see why they might not want to make more work for themselves in that regard. Okay. What kind of is there like a ripcord big enough for this? I feel like maybe you could just make it a very normal plastic looking ripcord. Are we ready to move on to the other stage? Maybe we flip the canvas just real quick before we move on. Hmm. Ah, I see where I was going wrong. Okay. I don't think that's how collarbones work. I should make them less curvy. At least I hope that's not how collarbones work. I heard that the reason cats can fit in their tiny little heads into any space that's about the size of their tiny little heads is because they don't have collarbones. That or because they can fold their collarbones into themselves, which must be a pretty neat party trick if you're not a cat. One would assume. What I kind of want to do as well, real quick, is to maybe transform the toaster layer a little bit. Hang on. Not the intended effect. There we go. Just like that, we have a slightly more dynamic pose to it. I don't know. Maybe I can use the. Yeah, this is going to end up looking kind of two dimensional no matter what I do. So maybe if I kind of push this back and then please use a different brush. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. It said that this thing was supposed to form like an A shape for the frame, right? If we just kind of. There we go. Yeah, just the most minimum basic details possible. All right, I think we're good. We're good to continue. Sometimes I feel like I'm lacking something when I turn these drawings back because I'll start liking the flipped version more. I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of recency bias sort of the dealio. That's what recency bias is, right? Like the most recent thing is the one that you weighs most on your mind. Okay, good, good, good. Nice. All right, good to know that I have my logical fallacies in a row. Honestly, as far as logical fallacies go, you really still cannot beat sunk cost fallacy. The number one most susceptible since the dawn of time. I don't know though. Maybe sometimes I feel like I've taken up too much of my life gassing up the sunk cost fallacy. Maybe I'd be happy if I did something else. But I've already come this far though. Wait, does this guy have an earring of any kind? No, I don't think he does. Keep gambling mindset, that's right. I'm gonna give him a slightly wider nose than I had originally intended. I love the idea of this guy working up such an intense sweat and looking this pleased with himself for starting something up when that thing is straight up a toaster. I don't know, something very charming about that. Working hard to activate my toaster. Yeah. God, could you imagine how good your bagels will taste though once you do get it working? You know, kind of like how after you struggle a lot with like a drink can or with a particularly difficult to open pistachio or nut, once you do get it open, it's like you relish the flavor a little more. Maybe it's a little bit like that. You know, you could get a conventional oven or some other boring thing like that to toast your bread, but with like this very intense mechanical toaster, now you feel every calorie of that toast. You feel the satisfaction, the satiety of that bagel. New tagline: You feel every calorie. That's right. Hmm. That might be a difficult tagline to sell people on, though, because I feel like most people still are like calorie equals bad, and also I feel like if that's the case, they'll be disappointed that it doesn't actually have more calories. Because then they'll be like, oh, this must be a super calorie dense toaster that makes your food more calorie dense. No calories necessary for existence. I completely forgot to draw the goggles. I wonder if it's too late to grab a couple from the asset store. I don't know. I feel like even though I've gotten comfortable with drawing goggles, they still trip me up every now and again. Let's see. Account's looking good. Let's go to the asset store. Just a general shape should be good. Oh, they have a bunch of swim goggles here. Also, all of these are expensive for some reason. What the hell? Wait, no. Here's a pair that's free, and they look very much like the ones on here. Score. Give me those. All right. So here's the play. I'm gonna go to the downloads tab. After it finishes downloading, we're gonna go to the downloads tab. You know what I feel like I haven't had in a long time? Toast with honey. I don't know. I feel like I used to eat that more. Oh, please. Wait, how big are. Oh my god? Those are a little big. Those are that's a real. Oh my god! This is just like Street Fighter 6. Hey, do you think that he took that away eventually, or do you think you can still make the Street Fighter 6 custom character and use that shit in like casual play lobbies? Do you think people will get mad at you for that? Does that affect your hitbox? I feel like I'd be really pissed off if that didn't affect your hitbox. Street Fighter 6. I'm glad I never ended up properly playing Street Fighter 6. I feel like I've gotten the best experience out of it just by playing the story mode and nothing else. You can? Awesome. Hmm. Tell you what, I'm gonna take these straight to production. These are gonna go. Hang on. The only thing I can't have is like this part up top here because these are supposed to split off properly. Okay, then that's gonna come in like this. There we go. All right, connect vector lines. Something I still have trouble with sometimes is the act of drawing something within something else. Well, like right here, for example, right? I have to draw the goggles. I need to make an inner part of the goggle, but I feel like I'm going to like that takes a lot of conscious effort from me. It's not to say that all art is effortless, but I feel like nowadays I've gotten to the point where I can pretty comfortably just like make the lines happen without having to think about them too much. But these ones are a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe because they require precision. If I turn off the stabilization, I bet it'll be easier. Or I could just make it adjust to the curve of my hand. That would also make my life a lot easier. Yeah, those are the two major tricks. Vector lines and using the feature to turn it around so it's more comfortable for your hand. I remember I used to be really bad about like getting your hand comfortable to make a curve in high school. It took me like actual conscious effort for me to it took me a long time for me to remember to do that regularly because I remember I used to be just drawing from the same angle for hours at a time. And my art teacher was like, "Hey, don't you think maybe you'd have an easier time making that line if you like spun the paper around or if you spun the board around a little bit?" And I would look at her like I'm like, "What?" It just did not cross my mind. Like it wasn't even stubbornness. I realized that it was actually bad for me, and then I just could not get into the habit of it until I put a lot of effort into getting into that habit. God bless her heart. I was not. Yeah, no. I don't know how that happened. Although it wouldn't be the first time that that's happened. I remember another time, and I tell this story frequently as well. My mom actually had to remind me to move my arms when I walk. Like she noticed that I was just walking around with my arms kind of like just hanging at my side, not moving at all, and she would be like, "All right, we need to have a talk about the way you walk." Like she just set me aside for a little while and was like, Please move your arms when you walk. It's a little bit unnatural right now." I don't know when I stopped doing that. Maybe I got so used to having yeah, we got to talk about how you walk. God, I don't know. I think it might be because I had a habit of keeping my hands in my pockets for a while. Particularly in my hoodie pockets or something like that. So I feel like maybe one winter I just started doing that and I just never stopped, even when I wasn't wearing a hoodie. I feel like that's the most reasonable explanation for that, why that happened, but I might be wrong. That one also took a little while to get back into the rhythm of. I fucking forgot how to walk normally, so whenever I did walk, it ended up looking cartoonish. Like I was overcorrecting on my walk cycle. Well, so it goes. Getting silly with it out here. Yeah. I was on some Amelia Bedelia type shit that in that period of my life. You could absolutely make a children's storybook about that. This rice, Pabs doesn't move his hands when he walks, and it'll be a story about how I. It doesn't really bother me, but it is useful for I don't know. I will say that it helped a lot to stop framing walking with my hands as a thing that I needed to do and more as a sort of mechanical advantage. Like I realize, like obviously you walk faster if you're moving your arms, right? That's a major thing is that this is also true for running, of course. You go faster when you move your arms in sync with your motions. So when I started seeing it that way, I was like, all right, let's see if we can actually like, yeah, momentum helps exactly. Yeah, so once I started seeing it that way, it became a lot easier for me to be on top of it. Okay, then over here. There we go. That makes him look a little bit more like he's straining. Yeah, I'm gonna lower his hairline to around there. Gonna get rid of this temple bit. Hmm. Do we know what the? Okay, yeah, it's like a or it's like a red or maroon, I suppose, hairband holding back the hair. Boy, that goggle 3D acid really did a lot of the work here, huh? Hang on, I think it might be a good idea to mess around a little bit with like the width of some of the parts here. Okay. There we go. That shoulder is not nearly big enough. There we go. Okay, then over here. Maybe I made his boobs too big. Oh well. Let's call it a free extra. You know how sometimes a fast food worker will throw in extra fries with your food. Let's just call it like that. Okay. Yeah, I think the goggles just have a normal strap to them. I don't know. I feel like I definitely have a double standard for, like if a female character is flat chested in the source material, it's dishonorable to give her big boobs all of a sudden. But it's kind of like the opposite for male characters. For me, like if I push a male character up by a cup size or two, I don't feel guilty about it at all. Well, so it goes. Okay, then add the Sarashi down here. I've always wondered if there was a trick to making a proper Sarashi, right? Because I know that there's like a difference between like the different Japanese belly bindings. Like there's the Sarashi, which is made out of bandages, the Hamaki, which is a belly warmer, or Hamaki. I think it's Hamaki. Hang on, let me Google something real quick. Okay, Mahamaki seems to be an Egyptian singer, so I might be thinking of something else. Okay, I'm thinking of a Haramaki. I'm thinking of a Haramaki, which is just to cover the stomach. I don't know. I wonder how the bandage one, the Sarashi, is comfortable. Maybe there's like a specific method to make it easy and comfortable to wear. It probably also helps that they probably use like proper cloth strips rather than just medical bandages, because I feel like medical bandages whole thing is to compress. Whereas if you have a normal thing of just, cotton, that's a little bit easier to finagle. Also, I do think that I might have messed up here with the collarbone. Maybe just up until here. Yeah, no, this definitely looks like it should be like this. I completely forgot his eyebrows, which is why his head looked so empty. I was adjusting his hairline earlier, being like, why does it feel like I'm missing a thing here? I forgot his damn eyebrows. That's why. Ay, ay, ay. There we go. That's a little better. And it would be such a shame too, because this guy's got some pretty magnificent eyebrows. At that. Okay. That aside. Yeah, I think this helps as well. Just making a distinction from between the delt and the shoulder. Okay, then bring this up. I don't know. I feel like gloves kind of de-emphasize a little bit of like what the knuckles do in terms of the structure of drawing the fist. Like the padding there is makes it lose a little bit of definition, so I can't get them as extreme as I normally do. Although sometimes you can get away with it. There's no such thing as like a complete absolute in this universe. Like the other night, right? The other night I was looking up stuff about like super massive structures in the galaxy, like some of the biggest cosmic objects we know about to date. And I stumbled upon this thing called the Giant Arc, which is one of the few objects, including this thing called the Big Ring, that's floating out there in space. That's so big that it technically shouldn't exist. Hang on, like apparently there's like this principle in science, right? Hang on. Giant arc. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Let's see. The giant arc consists of galaxies, galactic clusters, as well as gas and dust. It was discovered using data from the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here we go. The structure of the galaxies exceeds the 1.2 billion light year threshold, challenging the cosmological principle that at large enough scales, the universe should be considered to be the same in every place and in every direction. It and the Big Ring may form part of a connected cosmological system. So not only is there this thing floating around that's so big that it shouldn't exist, it has a twin, and they might somehow be related. in a way we don't fully understand yet. That's kind of terrifying. Currently, there is no theoretical model to account for the existence of the gigantic galactic formations. Lopez stated that neither of these two ultra large structures is easy to explain in our current understanding of the universe. What the fuck? Oh, whatever. If it turns out to be some kind of nefarious alien scheme, I think we'll be okay. Listen, if the most the aliens do to us is just make stupidly large objects in the sky, we're pretty good well off. Like if they just want to do that whole Ozymandias King of Kings, look upon my work, ye mighty, and spare shit, I feel like that's fine. That's actually kind of helpful to do. Of course, there's no particular reason that those structures exist in the first place. You know, that's just kind of how the stars ended up. I need to thin down the line here. Okay, then over here, just connected the bicep to the shoulder. And this part here. Let's add a scrap of the shirt back here just so everybody knows that it's there. Okay, so there's a little bit of... Okay. Alright, so the reason that I've actually left off on doing this part of the hand is because I'm gonna make it on a different layer, and hang on. Okay. Anyway, I want to do this hand on a different layer just so I can later apply some Gaussian effect stuff to it to make that what I wanted to happen become a reality. With a to get a sense of depth, and that's easier to do if you split it up like this. I feel like I really tripped over my words there. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like you don't have the patience to finish your own sentence. It's like the verbal equivalent of measuring once and cutting twice. I remember one time I saw a variation of measure once, cut, or measure twice, cut once. That was like measure never, cut forever. As like an enthusiastic chant. Honestly, kind of cooking. Yeah, I also don't think we need the... Hang on. We can use a simplify tool to make sure that these look more straight than they actually are. Okay. Get rid of these two. I see that I've missed I've missed connecting the arm to the rest of the shoulder back here, or to the rest of the back here. Okay. Then the actual toaster features. This will be fun. This is what I've been looking forward to the most out of everything here. I don't know. My mom recently told me about these things called Zentangles, which are these sorts of doodles that are based on hatching and patterns and stuff like that. And I don't know, I feel like making patterns or having the skill set to make patterns can be a really nice kind of meditative exercise. Like, I don't know, I feel like once you break away from the established patterns, right? Like, for example, anybody can draw a houndstooth pattern, right? Which is just something like this. And then you just kind of do that one over and over. Oh, I think I might have made these the wrong way, but hang on. But yeah, they're supposed to interlock together like that. That was a very poorly houndstooth, but whatever. Honestly, I do think that if you went back in time and showed, Victorian people or medieval peasants or whatever, any of our modern stuff, I think the thing that they would like the most is our modern appliances. I just know that my guy, English peasant number 487, is looking at my George Foreman grill with contempt and envy. Or no, with desire and envy. Contempt is like the opposite of desire. He might look at me with contempt, I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, apparently the British also lost a Euro Cup, which is pretty great. Thank goodness for that. I don't know, I just think it's good that the British never get to have anything nice. It's the closest where anybody's ever gonna get to reparations. Okay, and then just grab this one and plonk it down over here. Then move this. Let's just actually make this flatter like this. Okay. Okay, and then he's gonna come in through here. Okay, is that everything? No, I'm missing the hand. Alright, let's go back a little bit then. The hand shouldn't take too long. Assuming I don't have any last minute changes of heart. Okay. There we go. Not quite. Okay, now we're getting there. There we go. Alright, now we're ready to move on to the coloring. The ponytail. Completely forgot the ponytail. But after the ponytail, we'll be ready to move on to the coloring stage. Trust. Okay, then moving it over here. Okay. Wait, which? Huh. Wait, which part of this was the arm and which part of it was the hair? Uh-oh. I need to move where the hair meets the arm here. Because otherwise it's gonna throw me off for the rest of the evening. Oh. Mephistopheles Husband 420. Hell of a username. Welcome, welcome. Every time I really got to set up some kind of chat bot to send a message in chat whenever there's a new follower. I I feel like a grandmother putting on her glasses whenever I have to maximize OBS to check out the username. Do not pity me because this is all my own fault. Okay. Something about this arm doesn't seem right. Oh, I definitely overbuffed it. And that makes sense too. Normally you wouldn't see an arm get that big just from this. Yeah, okay. You know, being in this pose, it doesn't really flex the bicep that much. I got the sneaking suspicion y'all are making fun of me. Not really. I apologize if it feels like we've mocked you. I just did not. I just don't see usernames like that every day. Yeah, it wasn't our intention to make fun, but we are glad that you've joined in. Let's see. Is there anything else that I'm missing before I move on to the coloring stage? I should be fine. I think I'm fine. Okay. Yeah, it's less making fun of and more like appreciating how you fully leaned into that. Apologies if it came off that way. Yeah, exactly. It's important to be honest about the things you like. It's also important to close the gaps properly whenever you're trying to use a fill tool. And as on an unrelated note. Okay. I will say, I feel like eye scars are an underrated. I forgot the armband wrappings. That's what I forgot. I thought I thought I had one more thing missing. All right, let's just add those quickly. Okay, then over here. Goggles. I think the middle part has a different color, but that's fine. We can go back in at any time. Oh yeah. Earlier we were talking a little bit about Disney and its weird succession crisis. I feel like Disney's going to hit another crisis pretty soon, and not necessarily because of its succession, but because of the way that apparently kids are no longer watching that much Disney. Like they have Disney Plus subscriptions, but most children don't really like. I don't know. I think the way that the article phrased it kind of omitted the fact that like children are just no longer watching television these days. You know, every kid's just watching random YouTube videos. There was so basically what it said was that they compared the viewing statistics of the Disney Channel between 2014 and 2024, and I think right now, you know, they're not doing bad by any means. I think it had like 132. I should still have it brought up here. Let's see. Okay, the Disney Channel had a 2 million average daily primetime viewer count in 2014, but tanked to 132,000 in 2023. That is a big dip. Yeah. Nowadays, everybody just watches stuff on YouTube, which I'm also guilty of. I also just load up random YouTube videos whenever I try to get a bite to eat or something like that. Okay, it extends a little bit past the eye, so I'm just gonna make this part here kind of like the middle point of it. I haven't had an actual like ability to watch regular TV in so many years. Yeah, right. Like not even the volition to watch TV. You just cannot watch TV these days very easily, or rather, it's not as easy as say loading up a YouTube video. I mean, sure, your internet provider might occasionally hook you up with an extra package to watch TV, but if you don't actually own a television, you're very rare. You're probably not going to get anything like that. I'm guilty of this as well. For example, I remember that my one time my internet provider was like, "Hey, so we're having a great discount sale on our television packages," and I'm like, "I literally don't own a TV though." Yeah, why would I bother with cable stuff when you can just watch stuff on Twitch or whatever? Precisely. Specifically, you should watch my channel whenever I'm. No, I'm just kidding. Hmm. Yeah. And if you're not trying to make an actual TV show, you're probably getting picked up by some place like Netflix, and Lord knows what they've got going on behind the scenes. Your show has to be an instant viral hit, or else you're just not going to get another a second or a third season, which is awful. I think they some places still make traditional, ordinary TV. Thankfully, they're certainly in the minority, but they exist. I don't know what the folks on Food Network are up to. I used to remember seeing a bunch of adverts on the Food Network because that's a channel we watched. I watched the most growing up. I just used to either switch to the History Channel or the Food Network, or Discovery Channel, or well, also cartoons, obviously. But as I got older, we used to just watch the Food Network with my parents, and they had this show called Can You Beat Bobby Flay or something like that. And the whole theme of the show was trying to beat this one celebrity cook at his own game. And surprisingly, that son of a bitch was pretty tough to beat. Like in most of the episodes, they didn't end up beating Bobby Flay. I was intensely into watching Mythbusters for a bit. I can understand that. I feel like Mythbusters is the sort of thing that you get into for a little while, for sure. Okay. Let's make the ripcord here this kind of purple on the from the hoodie just because we couldn't get anything else. So I think I still need to. Yeah, there we go. Actually, I just made make it this brown color from the goggles. Hmm. Hang on. Would it work as the shirt color? No, it needs to be a little bit of a different tone. Maybe not so intensely saturated like that. Okay. The disembodied hand with the Victorian era toaster. Or no, not even Victorian era. This is the 1920s by now. What would a Victorian era toaster look like? Probably just an oven, huh? Man, making toast must have been way harder before the invention of like a toaster. Because you'd have to cook each side individually on a pan or on an oven. Didn't have really a timer, so you could set it and forget it. It's pretty tough. Okay. Okay. Let's try it like this. Hmm. Where should the lighting be coming from? Let's consult our references real quick. Okay, yeah. I think if it's coming up from around here, that'll be pretty good. Let's try that. I also want to do some of the funky coloring stuff this artist does with her shading. I want to try it as well. Like for example, using purple for the shade of the skin tone. Okay, then over here. Okay, so for example, for this one, it'd be maybe a bluish color for the shading. Okay, yeah, that's working pretty well. This is gonna look very funky by the time it's finished. A lot of color. I like how much color there's going on with the design in general. It's so nice. I don't know. She really does have a great talent for mixing a lot of very strong colors together. You know, a lot of very highly saturated colors together without making them look feel oversaturated. You know, that's a valuable skill. Okay, then over here, just a little bit of shadows here and there. Maybe a little bit of cross hatching even. I don't know. Do we still have that stubble brush around from back when I did the Faust piece? I think I've still got it lying around here somewhere. Yep, there it is. All right, let's try this. Yeah, this feels good. Especially with the kind of texture that I feel like the bandages would have. It's a pity they can't be a little bit more dynamic with their shape and size, but that's probably asking for too much to begin with. Hmm. They like a greenish color? Nope. We're gonna have to go a different direction with this one. Any more blue? Nope. This might work actually. Hang on. Okay. Now what we do is we deploy the stippling brush. That way it looks a little bit natural with the wrapping on the waist. Hmm. I feel like we can still do better. Let's take a look. Maybe the answer is actually to make it brighter. Am I tripping or is that actually kind of working? Hang on. Hmm. Hmm. It's hard to say. Alright, now there is a balance we can strike. Is there a way to, like, hang on. Oh, it's because I've got the tolerance up, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. Well, there's your problem. Alright. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna maybe we go one boob at a time. Then increase the density and hardness. Then over here, same idea. Alright, and now what we just need to add a shadow for the goggles. Okay. There we go. Okay. Then I think what we can do is also start adding shadows here for the head. Well, maybe I can add a little bit of a gap here. Yeah, just a little bit there. Or no. Actually, no. What I might do, though, is I might go back and add some highlights to the top here. Okay, we might use the... Yeah, there we go. Just expand that out a little bit, and same deal. I even use a blur brush at the end here. Hmm. And then... Wait, what's going on over here? I feel like I missed a spot here. Or... Oh, maybe it's because... Okay, I think I understand what happened here. I just need to blur this part out a little bit more. Wait, is that not it? I'm not even on the right layer. No wonder it wasn't having an effect. That's also not the right layer. Okay, which one? Okay, it's this one. Okay, there we go. Now that's looking way better. I was not locked in for a minute there. Yeah, all right. That's a decent clothing texture. Okay, over here. I don't know. I feel like at some point we're gonna have to introduce a gradient map to those two, just balance everything out. But for the time being, it's looking pretty interesting. Definitely one of the more colorful pieces I've ever done. Maybe something else I can do while I'm at this, right? Maybe I can even darken the skin on this side. Put this one step forward. No, that doesn't feel quite right. Oh, I think I missed a spot here. Just a tiny bit. Okay, then over here. No, wait, it won't look like this. It'll be more like this, I think. Yeah. Maybe the opposite way around? What might cause a problem as well is that I'm using the same color of shading for a similar tone of shading for the hair that I am using for the skin. Can't feel like that's going to come into conflict at some point. Hmm. Nope, that's not really working. I guess just a deep purple might actually be the best choice here. Okay, then after that, just gotta come in here and... Yeah, I think that works actually. What I might do actually here is just block out this entire part. That might work. That might work actually. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a little lost in the weeds here with this hair. Well, I guess that just means I should keep brute forcing it for a minute. Okay, then past here. Hmm. Oh, hang on. Some other blurring happened here. Regardless, I see. I should check the other side just in case. Make sure nothing bled over there. Okay, this is working. At least I hope it is. Okay, there we go. Hmm. What color should this one be? I think it'd be purple again is good, but let's try this. There we go. Hmm. Okay, what else is there left to do? The goggles. Probably some of the shoulder there. The face. The face is also going to be really important. Let's start with the goggles. Gotta have the goggles, 100%. Digimon doesn't want to admit it, but the fact that they had any media presence at all was largely owed to the fact that they understood the inherent swagger of goggles. Every main character, boom, goggles, boom, goggles. They understood the assignment. They knew what was at stake. That being said, I feel like the light would actually come in more from this side on account of the fact. Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Coming in from this side? Actually, they'd probably come in from this side, or I have no idea where the light would actually hit on these, because it would filter in a little bit through here, I reckon, which would mean that we'd have a little bit of something here. Which, fair, okay. But then would there be a little bit of light coming in from underneath as well, because they're reflecting against the chest? But then that would be more like a dark part, wouldn't it? I think I was better off drawing like solid chunks off like this. Unless, hang on. I've got an idea of how to do this as well. Okay, so I'm going to use the... There we go. There, that looked a little nice. That looks much better than what I had earlier. So might change up the color here. I feel like I'm just making everything blue. So I might just try to carry that forward as hard as I can. Die on that hill, so to speak. So I think I made the shadow too thick. Okay. I think what I might do as well here is I might actually... Hang on. I have the gradient erase. Will it work if I do this? Maybe if I just use a soft eraser instead and just try to suppress it a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I think that's the right call. Alright, so let's use the gradient erase, but as a straight line, and then just soften up the shadows a little bit that the goggles are casting, because right now, as they're a little bit too intense. The good news is that so far I've been locked in regarding what do you call the colors that I use here, or rather the layers that I'm working on. Okay. Then the actual inside part of the goggles. That's. Can we make that green? Can we make it a gog? No. Okay. Maybe not. All right. So maybe just a bright orange. How about that? Okay, that's not exactly perfect either. There's also just a tiny bit of residue here from where I used the gradient erase on the goggles, so I'm just going to get rid of that real quick. Okay, then over here. Imagine I am throwing a hard candy to you. Thanks, Emerald. I could actually use a pick me up. I don't know. I think I was over ambitious with trying to use such a unique shading style. I might have to do a little bit of a pit stop to make sure that it's just going appropriately. I don't know. Maybe this is one of those times where you need to trust the process. Those and the one that I was talking about just now are very difficult to distinguish from one another. You know what I've kind of always been jealous of that isn't really a useful skill? People who can throw food in the air up a little bit. You know, like how somebody can throw up a little thing of popcorn, like a popcorn kernel up high up in the air and then catch it in their mouth. I'm jealous of people who can do that consistently. I don't have that kind of coordination. So whenever somebody does that, I am suitably impressed. Hmm. I don't know. Maybe I need to train for that by raising the stakes rather than lowering them. You know how like some people can only really perform in high pressure situations. Maybe I need to like make it scalding hot soup that I need to catch it in my mouth instead. Up the difficulty rather than just try to keep the safety wheels on. Nah, then some soup might get on the floor, and whether that's risky or not, I can't afford to waste good soup. But perhaps I could afford to waste bad soup. I don't know. Maybe I just eat, but then I wouldn't be feel an incentive to catch it in my mouth. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. This issue that I've may come up with for myself. Like if I just have an ordinary can of Campbell's Chunky, I'm not going to feel motivated by that. But if it's like, some nice chicken soup that I've made for myself, it's like celery and potatoes and carrots and aromatics and onion, and like a whole onion, like that one, I'd be motivated to catch. But then, could I risk losing it all? No, I think I'm too risk averse to try that kind of strategy. I don't know. There are some people who definitely Skittles are a good starter. I could try that with Skittles. Gotta have the stakes. Yeah, that's a thing, isn't it? If you don't have any stakes, you don't improve. But if you don't, but without improving, you lose the stakes. Things that are hard can hurt your eyes or teeth. True. So maybe like mini marshmallows might also be good, but those don't have particularly predictable flight paths. Is the thing. They're not very aerodynamic. Yeah, M&Ms might be the one. Or I don't know, maybe like a gummy candy. I feel like a gummy candy is the exact right kind of viscosity and weight to try to attempt one of these things. Hmm. Gummies are also a good choice. Picking your battles is part of the skill. That's a great point. You should like write that in calligraphy or some shit. Picking your battles is also part of the skill. That's true of a lot of things, I feel. Yeah, print that shit and burn it on wood. Mm. I wanted to start trying calligraphy at some point. You're so right. I think that that's definitely a useful skill. Even if you don't particularly get far in it, I think it's because you see it so often, right? I feel like calligraphy is one of those things where, like, once you start understanding the fundamental principles of it, you start being able to experience the world in a different way much more quickly. You know what I mean? There's a lot of skills where, like, if you grasp the basics of it, it's common enough that you see it in the rest of the world, in the world around you, so to speak. I feel like calligraphy is definitely one of those. It's like trying to most art methods. It takes so long to get to work just once, and it takes time to get into groove until you've done it 100 times. Yeah, that's the mega annoying thing about art is that it really is just a thing of endurance. Like you need to be willing to fail, and you need to be willing to fail in a fast way if you want to make progress too. And some people don't have the resources to fail that fast, you know, or the patience. Yeah, that. Like I saw the other day that somebody I followed was trying out Blender for the first time, and I really wanted to tell them that. Yeah, no, it sucks the first dozen or so times, but then after a while, after like those first dozen or so times, you are going to get much better at it, and you will be like, "Wow, this is so much easier now." Because that's how it went for me. I had to struggle with Blender for the first couple of tries. I had to redo them, like, and this is what I noticed as well. Whenever I redid a model or something that I made in Blender, and I retried it to make it, the second pass was almost always leaps and bounds better than the first pass. Like in terms of just like polygon count, in terms of like the fact that it wasn't breaking. You really just got to try it a couple times and let that go. Let it just. Nine Souls was very much the same for me, but oh god, when I got it, I've been meaning to get Nine Souls. I like the idea of like the Dao Punk aesthetic that they were advertising. Okay, so this is gonna come in like this, then like this. The final boss is so satisfying when I finally understood what I had to do and had the skills to do it. Yeah, I can imagine that must have been a satisfying moment. Also, this shading makes this guy look way more sinister than I had intended him to. What the hell? Yeah, you can learn anything even if it takes a struggle, especially if it takes a struggle. Like you are going to learn so much more once you realize that it's always going to be a struggle. Fucking, I hate that I'm bringing this guy up again. That Northern Light guy once had like this whole tirade about how you need to kind of embrace the struggle. You need to kind of embrace the toil of everything. Because like he explained it that somebody he was doing that Sisyphus game, right, where you're pushing a boulder up the hill, and somebody was like, how much longer till we get to the end? And he's like, that's a weak mindset. That's not your fault. That I bet you used to say the same thing on the treadmill. And he went on to say that like it's like you're going to be toiling basically your whole life. There is not going to exist a moment where you're not in some way toiling. Even once you retire, assuming you retire comfortably, right? Even then, you'll be toiling by yelling at kids on your lawn, or trying to keep yourself busy. You'll if you stop toiling, you will very quickly find a way to start toiling again. Whether that's through personal project, through financial need, through just having fun with other people, you'll start toiling one way or another. You're going to return to that toil. And maybe framing it, learn to rest, learn to toil. Yeah, learn to toil. I don't know. Framing it in that way is almost a relief. Like I feel like a lot of times we wait for things to get easier. You're going like, oh my god, please, I just want things to get easier for a little bit. They're not necessarily going to get easier. Things are not necessarily going to improve in that regard. But you can keep going. You'll find a way one way or another, and you can just do that by just continuing, not giving up. Martial arts is also good for that, even though I only just got in my beginner class. Jumping in with your whole chest is a boon. Yeah, it doesn't get easier, you don't get better, you just get better. Not necessarily. I mean, there are some people who, even though they'll run their whole lives, they're not going to be fast runners, right? There are people who can jump their whole lives, but they'll never necessarily be people who jump high. Sometimes you just don't get better, but you can still continue and just get with it. You get better at bringing yourself to do it. That's a better way of putting it. I guess that's what you'd call discipline, huh? The ability of bringing yourself to do it. Some would say the most important skill. I suppose. I don't know. I feel like I have a strong sense of obligation and responsibility, but I don't really have a sense of discipline. Like if I commit myself to something and I other people that thing is like accountable to other people, I'll do it. But if it's just like a thing on my own, I won't hold myself to that. I need that accountability in order for me to start something. Which is why streaming is so great for me. I guarantee you I would not be drawing this much if I wasn't regularly live streaming. Now to do my laundry. Godspeed, soldier. Hoorah. Seriously, this face looks kind of sinister. Yeah, maybe I should have made the shading a different way for the face. Hang on, maybe I can. I can walk this back. Hang on. Yeah, shading styles are pretty tough. Hang on, maybe I can just kind of switch this part to be like this. No, that looks a little bit strange too. Maybe just moving up the cheekbone one and then. Hang on. Yeah, I feel like that helped a little bit. I'm still not super satisfied with the skin tone for the scarred areas, like the shading color that I chose for that. This might work. Okay. Okay, now I think I understand what I need to do. Okay, then over here, you can start shading out this part a little bit as well. Okay, a little bit of the same stuff going on up back here, I think. Seriously, I need to make this guy look less evil. I think it's the blue tones on the shading, honestly. Hang on, maybe I can... There might be something I can do here. Could lean into it. I mean, like, this guy doesn't look particularly evil. It's the thing. This guy looks like he would accidentally say "you too" when the waiter asks and tells him to enjoy their meal. The vibes are completely off. Alright, here's what let's do. I'm going to... Hang on. The part that I should switch up here is this. No, they don't, but if you twist the evil just a tad, it could probably work out. I mean, there's got to be something I can do, right? Like, this is by no means an unsalvageable situation. I just gotta use my brain a little bit. Or brute force it like I always do. That also works. Situation is what you make of it. Might just take something like the mountains on the bounty hunter art you did. That's true. I don't know. Let me try something real quick. Right after I finish reworking this glove. So worried about how much better those mountains looked after turning into a fifth of what you drew, but big. Right? That was a messed up experience for me as well. I'm not gonna lie, some kind of visual alchemy shit happened during that drawing. Not that I'm complaining. Listen, me, I love it when shit works out for me for no reason. It's like 90% of my successes in life, just randomly things working out for me. I owe a lot to that effect. But sometimes I do wish I could see the bigger picture. or the smaller picture that was transformed into the bigger picture, and ended up looking better a little bit that way, something like that. You did see it, that's why you tried it. That's a good way of looking at it. Okay, then over here, that's going to come in like that. Doing it regularly, that comes with lots of experience making mistakes and fixing them, is my understanding of it. Yeah, I guess this wraps around. Even though I like to think that I'm good at art, I still have a lot that I can learn too. I guess that's a good thing. I feel like my style hasn't changed that much these years, right? Like sometimes you notice that your style looks a lot different than it does in the previous year, but mine is, I don't know, I feel like mine has always looked the same the way that it has. A lot of the design sensibilities are still coming through. I need to do enough art to actually develop a style and then deviate every time. Yeah, that's the thing, right? I don't know. I feel like a style is less, you know how like rocks, right? You know how like rocks can either be carved into a specific shape or otherwise they just like get worn down by rain and create a shape that way. Erosion and just like the natural experiences of time and the world around them eventually shape them into what they are. I feel like that's a lot of what styles are like. You could definitely try to make yourself fit a style. Like I remember back when I was reading the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels for the first time, I really really tried my hardest to copy the style used in those. But eventually I just kind of was like, I did that. It's almost like contraction and then relaxation, right? Like whatever you squeeze will eventually return to its original form. Like I tried my hardest to copy the Scott Pilgrim art style, and it didn't look at anything like it by the end of it, but it was like as close as it was gonna get. And then I was like, all right, I don't need to work so hard to copy it every time now. I'm gonna do my own thing now. I'm not gonna like look at the references that I have every single time now. And then I did that, and eventually it changed into what I have normally. It can be forced, but that's not really how it forms on its own. The thing is, even if you force it, I feel it'll eventually you'll eventually stop forcing it. Whatever you do will become second nature to you. Yeah, there was like that one phrase, right? It's not that practice makes perfect, but like practice makes habit. I feel like that's an important phrase in art stuff. Practice makes set. Yeah, nope. Hang on. Lark, always forget you don't have that command. Yeah, no. If you feel like you don't want to yap anymore, you can just stop yapping. Likewise, if you want to chat, you can just start talking. I mean, hell, even if there's no particular reaction for that command, I still understand what it means, right? Like I still understand that that means that you're gonna be taking it easy back there and doing your own thing for a minute. In that regard, in that regard, the action commands that a lot of streamers have become their own sort of mini language. I don't know. I feel like that's one of the things that's going to be that makes it a little bit difficult to get into live streamers is that a lot of them have this terminology. You know, even with the streaming, there's well, obviously, like with anything else, there's going to be a lot of jargon. But I feel like with streaming, there's like a bunch of different terms. Like now, we've become accustomed to it thanks to the fact that like Japanese idol culture bled over with VTuber culture so easily. You know, so now every other schmuck running around knows what the word oshi means. But to the average layperson, that's probably not very accessible. Except for when you don't. Yeah, except for when you don't. Okay. That's too much of a difference. It needs to be a little bit less dramatic. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay. Then this is going to come in like this. And actually, since this is supposed to be a ripcord that's being pulled very quickly, it might be a good idea to add like speed lines to it almost. There we go. Okay, I think we're basically done with the shading here. Now, let's see if we can't make this a little bit more cohesive. Alright, so edit, tonal correction, gradient map. Holy shit, that looks evil. Also, that's binarization, not gradient map. Let's not make that mistake again. Honestly, it kind of looks cool with the black and white. You know, if we really want to lean into the whole color aspect of it, nah. Let's shop around a little bit. Okay, like this one, for example, fits really well. Or actually, I do have this more pinkish one. Let's keep shopping around. None of these really call out to me so far. What comes to mind is a light green? A light green, huh? I could kind of see that. That's not really light, though. I might need a different sample. This one I'm kind of liking. Let's keep that one around just in case. Let's try a couple other things. So let's also go back and grab the sunset purple one that we had, because I really like that one as well. We might end up even doing a little bit of a mix and match. Okay, then tone correction, gradient map. Let's keep seeing if there might be a light green lying around somewhere. Oh, like this one. This one has a little bit of purple in it too, but the light green really makes it pop, I think. Also, I just noticed something. I think... Oh, it's missing a little bit there. Alright, we can. That's an easy fix, though. Hang on. Okay, I like this one. But I don't like it that much. This one could also be good. I think this one is almost like the closest to the original creator's art style, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I don't know. I feel like I sometimes place some too much emphasis on the original maker's art style. Like it's not a good idea to just ignore them completely and do what you want, but at the same time it's also no good to just try and do what they make but your own way, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't feel right if it just feels like I've put my art over it as a filter. Hmm. This one I like. Let's see what else there is. I think that's the one I literally just had. There's also this metal gradients one that I can use, but that's... I don't think we'll be needing that. Alright, let's see. Okay, this one's a very strong contender to begin with. Not sure about this part here. Might have to go back and clean that up a little bit. Also not sure about this extra part here. But everything else looks pretty peachy to me. This one has similar issues, but it's a little bit stronger on some of the pinks. I think between these two, I like this one better. We're gonna be doing this like gauntlet style. This one might actually help a little bit with the colors for stuff like the eyes and such. Or for the glove. Yeah, this one's no good. This one might help a little bit with the colors for stuff like the inside of the armpit and everything. This one hasn't grown on me quite as much. All right. Okay. So I think this one for everything except the torso and the underarms. And then maybe this one for everything else? Or maybe even the original recipe. I think the original recipe goggles were pretty good. At least the metallic parts. I might nab this one for the... Hang on. Wrong layer. There we go. Select color gamut, this one here. Let's try that again. And also save our work, probably. Feel like that might be a good idea at this point in time. Alright, so then what I need is to bring in... This one's pretty good. Alright, and then is there anything else we need to bear in mind? Doing something for the eyes might be a good idea at this juncture. Also, maybe something about this part here. I don't know, is there like a... Hang on, I might be able to just use one of these pixels. There we go. I think this guy even has like a little bit of blue, or no, purple. Why he purple? I need to get that phrase out of my head. I say that shit whenever anything is purple, and I fear it might be a permanent fixture in my language center now. Also, you know what I think might be what might help in making this guy look a little bit less evil is making it more obvious that he's sweaty. I feel like if I do that, that's going to go a long way towards being like, oh, okay, this guy's not like plotting our demise. He's just working out. In that spirit of things. Okay, then over here. Okay, then mark this over here. So that is actually really easy to draw if you're doing it like in this cartoonish style. I'm sure there are people who can draw much more detailed sweat, but it's useful to just be able to do this, you know? I need to be careful with the sweat marks on this side because they might get covered up by the toaster on the hand. But yeah, switching around the shading really made me a lot happier with the piece. I'm glad that I took the time to really find something that I liked. You know what might also help a little bit is to add highlights to the eyes. Like this. I feel like that also giving him that sparkle in the eye can help a little bit with making him look less like he's plotting somebody's demise. I think already this is a huge improvement, frankly. It makes it look more intense but less sinister. Precisely, precisely, precisely. Okay, then I think the other thing that's left is the actual part here. Oh yeah, this is gonna look great. And the good news is that since I've already figured out what I want the shading to look like for the... Actually, can we do something else with the glove? Because right now it's looking a little bit samey. Maybe like this. Alright, here's my idea. This color for the underside of the glove. Hmm. Then we need like a halfway color. It doesn't look so bad with the rest of it though. But I don't know, the shading on the little part with the ripcord is still a little bit too harsh. That's much better. Alright, so what I might do as well is just grab this and then use the Liquify tool to bring that thing over. This looks like it would make it this combination of green and red looks a little bit like the Aurora Borealis, but it also looks like it would make a delicious ice cream flavor. I mean, who's to say that the Aurora Borealis themed ice cream would not be peak? I'm sure there's got to be at least one or two out there that are Aurora Borealis themed and are also delicious. That's the issue with most novelty food, is that most novelty food is awful. It doesn't taste very good, it doesn't keep very well, it's only relevant for a very specific period of time, or it's just not fun to eat. Some of it is genuinely a winner. I don't think the light would shine that deep. Like this at most. I think that's good. Also, I might remove some of the shadow on the eye here. There, that looks a little bit less sinister yet again. Alright, back to my original goal, which was this toaster. Okay, then over here. Okay, I think I understand the key now. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and darken the insides of this toaster. I'm gonna need you all to make a pact with me and not tell the original artist that it's a toaster unless she explicitly asks. I think it's funnier if they just assume that it's a random machine, or they could end up checking out the bot, but I doubt that'll happen. Hmm. Oh, I missed a spot here. That was close. Okay. Actually, yeah, no, the thumb would actually cast a shadow here, so how could I... That doesn't look so much like a metal shade, though. Maybe I exaggerated it significantly. I think that might be the key here. Also, let's see here. Recently, I think I've talked about this before. There's been this supermarket that opened up recently in the area where I live, which has been a real blessing since I needed a place to get fresh vegetables. However, the thing is that it's also very much like an Asian import goods store. And recently, what I've been doing is that every time I pass by there, I get myself like one or two little drinks. Nothing huge. No, like it's not like some kind of like shopping haul. But if a drink looks interesting, I'll get it. And what I've been aiming for particularly are these bottled coffees that they sell. I think it's called like kamui or something like that. And they come in these like metallic bottles, and they're pretty nice. They're decent coffee, but it's still a kind of trial and error kind of deal because of the fact that I don't know what each of them tastes like until I taste it for the first time, which is a normal problem to have for beverages. But I don't know. I There was this one that was like half cream, half sugar, and it was nice. But there was this other one that was like pure black coffee, but it was like the kind of black coffee where it was very sour, or like you could really taste the acidity of it. I'm not a huge fan of those, but now I know to avoid it at least. Back in ye olden days, I would have been hailed as the hero of my tribe for having discovered the poisonous treat, and thus warning all the future generations to never take part of its malicious feast, of its deadly desirability. Okay, shrink that down. Okay, then make this even darker. Hang on, I need to take a couple steps back, and then I don't know. Is there like a middle point I could have here? Well, whatever. There we go. Then, if we blend out this color here, that's not blending it out. Okay. Maybe this will do. Okay. Okay. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to duplicate this folder, merge these layers, darken this using the luminosity setting. Possibly shift the hue up a little bit to the left. And then we're going to use the Gaussian blur filter to make it look like it's... There we go. So maybe we could make it a little bit bigger too. That way that awkward shadow from the armpit isn't really as conspicuous. Now, what to do for the rest of the background? Or actually, I guess I'm not really done just yet. I also want to do... Hang on. Merge selected layers. Alright, so this part here... Just select this entire outside part. Blur, motion blur. Now we just got to work the angle. Almost there. Alright, now the rest of the task is to just get rid of everything that we don't need. Okay. We might use the fingertip blur. Or maybe the soft eraser, actually. Okay. So I think what might be a good background color might be this kind of teal that he has in his eyes. But we can workshop that. The problem is that that's also the color of the glove. So I feel like that's going to be a loss in translation a little bit. Do you have like a mechanical pattern of some kind we can add? What's this? Oh, those are hands. Yeah, no, that's not appropriate for this. That looks really creepy. Some kind of lace pattern might be nice. So this is kind of like a heart lace pattern, but maybe we can, maybe we can get a little bit sillier with it. I don't know. Is there one that's just like gears, the gilded gears? Hmm. What are these? There are all kinds of different. Okay, yeah, sure. Let's have the fishnet pattern. Actually, this is kind of nice for just like an abstract background. Hang on, yeah. All right, I have an idea for how to do this one. Listen, sometimes you try shit as a joke and it works. I feel like I should add some smoke clouds. Maybe I can use a brush from the acid store. I don't feel like drawing a whole bunch of smoke right now. Listen, sometimes you can cut corners sometimes. It's okay. Although if I don't end up finding a brush I like, it might just be faster to do it myself. You know what? I'm gonna do it myself. I just saw some shit on the acid sword that I don't want to talk about. I'm just gonna do this myself. Okay, so the good structure for this might be. Okay, let's put all the visible layers into one folder. Me and the smoke need to be alone for a minute. Sometimes I think it's a shame that I don't have OBS configured so that you guys can also see when I pull up the asset store, but other times it's useful. Okay, let's see here. Then I think the best thing to do would be to use some more ordinary brush size. Come on. There we go. Alright, so that's going to come in like this. And, okay, we'll do a very similar thing to what we did for the toaster, which is we're going to put this sucker on Gaussian blur. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put up an identical one behind the guy. And this one will be lighter, but also Gaussian blurred. Because that way it also implies that it's behind him. There we go. Although I might switch the tone of it because it's a little bit too close to his hair tone right now. That's a little better. There we go. Oh, but then it kind of like interrupts the ripcord, doesn't it? Yeah, maybe I can like just kind of nudge it out of. Yeah, there we go. At least that way the ripcord has like a direct line of action to the toaster. This is crazy work to be doing for some fresh toast, but I get it. I understand. We've all been there. All right, that being said, I think I'm ready to sign on this one and call it a night. We've been at this for a little while longer than usual, so I need to beware the scope creep that seems to happen on these art fight streams. Well, who knows? As long as I keep being ambitious and finishing them at the end of the day, it shouldn't be too bad. Although maybe I should. Okay, maybe one last thing to do is to blur this one out. There we go. Yeah, it looked a little bit odd the way it was blending into the hand. All right. Is anybody streaming today? Is anybody streaming right now? Who's up streaming it? And by it I mean their Twitch chat. Now I'm gonna close out. I'm just gonna close things out here for tonight. All right, thank you all very much for coming by. I really appreciate it. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your evenings, and I will see you on Thursday for another round of Art Fight. Talk to you later. Bye.